I'm really excited to talk to Debbie Sun today. She's an artist that I've known since childhood. We also have in common a Trinidadian background. Her family's from Trinidad. My mother was from Trinidad. And, you know, she has this amazing textile practice where she starts off with painting on silk paintings, and then she manages to layer these through photography and digital renderings and manipulations, and then transforms that into something completely new and puts a lot of these patterns onto different products, whether it be bags, postcards, fans, pillows, etc. So I'm really interested in talking to her about that process, both her design company, but also the beginning of that, which is her painting practice.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God. Oh,
it's good to see you.
It looks amazing in here.
Thank you.
It's good to
Welcome.
See you too. Wow.
I'm Debbie Sun. I'm a textile designer here in St. Croix. I have been doing silk painting for many, many years. Always about art in my life from the very beginning. Over the course of the years, I've traveled many paths trying to figure out how to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And it started off with architecture, which I thought was a nice blend of art and science mixed together. And then realized that as much as I love architecture, I really wanted to be hands-on and be designing, painting, being artistic. And so through that time, I figured out my path and eventually found my way here as a textile designer.
So it's kind of like a showroom and then your studio over here?
Yes,
that's how it's set up?
that's the idea. That's the idea.
Oh, look at, of course, the fans. These are one of my favorites.
I
think you
love
have to
these
get one of
fans.
these. Oh man.
And they come in handy, especially in this tropical weather.
Absolutely. They're beautiful.
Thank
I've
you.
seen so many people with them. They're
Really?
quite popular,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, while you're waiting in line, when you're at the
Absolutely.
restaurant, there's so many uses for it.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Oh,
Thanks.
wow.
And now I have 7 different designs.
Wow.
One for every day of the week.
That's beautiful. And then I see you have some lamps and wall hangings.
Yes. Yes. And even a
How would you
lampshade.
describe these? Yeah, with lampshades.
Yep. So I have the
Yeah,
fabric
so
covering
nice.
the lampshade. This is actually at the Buccaneer, the Terrace restaurant. They have these lampshades there,
Wow, they're
showcasing the
beautiful.
artwork. Thank you.
And the pillows. You know, what I love about them is they have this mix of, you know, like this watercolor feel from the silk and then the very graphic computer digital.
And
Yeah.
that's the process.
Yeah, it's a combination. You see both.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I paint on silk and then I
Mhm.
add the digital part to it.
Okay.
So for example, this one, it's a silk painting I did with the blue colors, and then here's a detail of a photograph of the metal grate.
And then these. Wow.
And this
So
is
these
the-
are this is like a very graphic pattern.
Absolutely.
So this is added.
It's added on top of that. Now this is multi-layered because the background is a photograph of the water in
Oh my
Frederiksted.
gosh, I just saw the sea.
And
I
these-
never noticed.
Yep, and these are all the different ranges of color that we have here in the Caribbean Sea. And this is from a silk painting, and then I added the sea fan graphic
You know,
onto it.
I never noticed that about your work before. I thought, I guess, because when you first look at it, it has a very graphic design feel, but then there are these elements that are very painted. It's like a lot of things going on here that I wouldn't have picked up at first glance. which
Yes,
is really
it's definitely
interesting.
multi-layered. Absolutely.
Wow. And then, like I said, this combination of very old style techniques and then the new technology, it's really interesting.
Architecture has always been a big component of my design process. It's what I studied in college. I've always loved architecture. I always bring elements of those studies with me to my textile designs and the way I approach it. So architecture for me, it's about form and function. There's a use. It's about how a space is experienced by a person. And with textile designs, it's very similar. When I think about my designs, I think about how the fabric, how the textiles are going to be worked into the space and how people feel when they come into the space. So if it's on the pillows or on the curtains or wall hangings hanging from the ceiling, it's creating an atmosphere and it's taking into account the structure and the logistics and systematic part of the process. And for me, that's where the architecture comes into the textile design. And that's how textile design ties back into architecture.
So this is where the paintings, or where your process really begins, is with the silk painting.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me, so this is silk,
Mm-hmm.
and then what kind of paint are you using?
It's a dye for silk. It's meant for silk painting.
So it's pigment, and then you add the water? Or
No,
you
it actually
already
comes exactly as it is. I take it right out of the bottle, and then you can mix the different colors. It's water-based, and it's very fluid.
Wow.
Yes.
I'd love to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never,
It's a really interesting medium because instead of painting where you're putting in brush strokes, you are actually just guiding where you want the color to go.
So this, what is this here that you drew on top?
That's called Gouda, and you actually trace that it's in a tube, and that keeps the paint from spreading. So that's how you can control where you want the colors to
And
go.
so I noticed you have metallics. I'm sure that they come in
All different colors.
Yeah.
I tend to like the metallics. That's my
Okay.
style for sure.
All right.
And this is something where you don't want to think too much because it just
Okay,
it
don't think
goes
too
where it
much.
wants to go, and you
Okay.
don't need very much on your brush at all.
All right.
And then you're just going to drop the brush on the fabric, and you'll see how the color will start to flow. And you just gently move the color
Oh, I
around.
did it very watercolory.
Yeah, you don't need much water at all. And you can just keep adding, and while it's still wet, you can add another color, and that's how it starts to blend.
And so this Gouda really prevents it from moving?
Exactly, as long as you do it well. Sometimes there's little gaps in between, but that's the idea with that process.
Okay. So you already have a very defined style where you layer the colors on top.
Yes.
Because I'm noticing that mine doesn't look like yours
Not
at all.
But it's still wet. So, and actually you have a small brush, try maybe this size
Okay.
brush, and put a different color next to it, and you'll start seeing how it blends together.
Okay.
And don't think. That's the key.
Okay.
Don't think too much.
All right.
You let it flow. Let the creativity happen.
I never paint like this, by the way. But it is interesting.
There you go. And now
And
while
so-
this is still wet, go with another color to see how it starts to blend.
Wow, the layering is really beautiful.
There's a lot of prep work, and then once you start adding color, it goes really quickly. You can just let go and let your mind do what it wants to do without even thinking about the process.
This is really something.
Yeah. In fact, I've been teaching a silk painting workshop using mandalas.
Wow.
And what's cool about it is that this whole process is very meditative.
Yeah.
You can go for hours and hours and just watch the colors blend together. And so this lends itself to this type of artwork as well.
Look at that. So tell me a little bit about the process then. So after you do this, what do you normally do with these paintings? Is this the finished product?
So I have an original painting, so that could be a final product, but then I always like to take it a step further. And that's where I get into the textile design of it. And so I will take parts of that painting, take a digital image of it, and on the computer start layering it once again to something completely different.
Why do you do that?
Oh, because there's so many opportunities to continue to grow. One small image can become 20 different designs, 20 very different designs. And I find that really exciting.
And now, is that a part of the textile art tradition to kind of do that? Or is it something new that you're doing by adding the computer and the photographs and all of that? Or is this, like, I don't know. So this is obviously very traditional. And
Exactly.
so when you went to, where did you study textile design?
So I didn't actually study textile design.
Ah,
However,
okay.
I was under the mentorship of Cindy Mail, who's a silk painter. And so I learned a lot from her. I went to Barcelona and went to an art school where I had a chance to really explore this idea and see where I could take it. And a lot of it I've just continued to grow and learn on my own. I am so fortunate and grateful that I had a chance to live in Barcelona. It opened my eyes to so many different ways and also made me realize that yes, I'm from a gorgeous island in St. Croix. I have a very supportive community, and the rest of the world is open to me. And I think just being introduced to different cultures, meeting people from all over the world, and getting their insight and getting an understanding of how they think and how it's different from what I know has really influenced my work and has also influenced my approach to doing business.